Hello, I'm Elgato, and welcome back to the episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I'm playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Bedrock Edition, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of building on one of the biggest projects I do have in this world. It's one that I try not to name too often because people then start asking, why are you doing that? What even is that? You know, the questions just come out of nowhere, so maybe we're placing some glass today, maybe it's in the end, maybe it's part of that giant 3-month long project I've been working on that, again, maybe will be its own separate thing later, but for now all you need to know is I'm making a little bit of a base. It's going to be made out of glass. It's going to be a really weird shape. You're going to have a lot of questions, but we're going to have to mostly just work on it and explain that, like, yeah, those questions can kind of be answered, but kind of also not now, because we've got big important things to talk about in today's Let's Play episode, which is not just about what we build, although again the building part is going to be fun today. I'm looking forward to working on this pyramid thing, but also you know, in this Let's Play we'd like to talk about some of the other things that have been going on, and today I wanted to talk about something really kind of big that I've been thinking about, which is kind of the time thing. Like, because everyone, you know, if you ever think about time, you realize it is basically a human invention, right? We decided, like, okay, we need to track when things are happening. How can we do that? Well, we'll use time as a thing, and time is basically our way of tracking when something happens. You know, like, if you need, rather than doing something based on the world, you can do something based on this internal system, or it's not even internal, but this external system we've all invented that we all kind of agree to follow. And yeah, it's interesting to me, you know, because time is something that we all think of as existing manifestly, but really it is just like, it's our way of describing how things change and will eventually all change, and you know, like, therefore we can map things out on timescales, etc. And the reason I find that interesting is not because I want to talk to you today about how time is a conspiracy, it's all an illusion, but instead because I wanted to talk about something interesting to do with the fact that time is basically what defines, like, you as a successful or non-successful person. I don't care what realm of success you're looking for in that. Like, I'm not saying, like, oh, career successful, or oh, you know, successful in terms of how well you look after your plants or whatever. No, I mean, like, in terms of however you want to define your own success, it usually depends a fair amount on how you interact with time, which is why I think, like, you know, looking back onto so many childhood stories, so many teachers and so many other, like, authority figures would be super, super hard on, like, oh yeah, you must show up perfectly on time. If you don't show up perfectly on time, then, you know, look, just don't show up at all. Stuff like that. There's so many absurd examples of, like, workplaces where if you show up late, you get, like, severely reprimanded, you lose some pay. If you don't show up at all, you get praised for, you know, like, oh yeah, good job for you taking a sick day. There's loads of weird examples of stories like that. And that's because, like, everyone wants to instill the message in people that, like, actually, yeah, you probably should, you know, care about, you probably should care about being on time just a little bit. And I don't know why I find this to be such an interesting, you know, thing, but it really can define everyone. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about the past and the future, because in the Let's Play we talk about what I've been up to in the past week. And in case you're curious, because some of the past week is now the future week as this goes live, I've been preparing for the big trip to Japan. Again, I don't talk too much about travel on this channel because I know a lot of people just, like, tune out to travel. Like, you know, why do I care about Japan? I'm not anywhere near Japan. Why is that a thing that should interest me? But yeah, basically I'm going to Japan for 3 weeks. It's gonna be the longest trip I've ever done anywhere. It's gonna be really interesting because, again, I liked Japan so much last time I was there. I like, you know, we have to go back there and, you know, do some more and experience it some, etc. So I just decided to go on, like, this big thing. It's like, I don't know, it's like one of the biggest trips I'll ever do anywhere in my life ever, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the thing as a whole. It's gonna be a wild time, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because the preparation for it, you know, there's a lot of videos. This is one of the most intense weeks of, like, you know, like, wake up, you gotta do this, you gotta, like, a podcast is like a live stream replacement, because one of the things I always want to make sure is true, a lot of YouTubers just, you know, abandon their channel for a couple weeks when they go somewhere. You know, a lot of YouTubers, you know, but that's not something I try to do. I try my very best to not abandon you, to make sure you have something, you know, podcasty style on your Tuesdays, because I know for a lot of people, like, having the Toy Cat videos or just having a YouTube video can really help them with their selves. And I don't know, I feel like I'd be abandoning people to be like, you know, I'm just going somewhere. So what I try to do instead is I prepare while I'm gone. So this week has been really intense as a result of that. And yeah, so my past right now is a little bit intense, but as a result, my future is looking slightly less intense. It's looking slightly better. It's almost like you know, like a little bit worse now, but a little bit better in the future, because I'll be able to rest better knowing that I'm not just abandoning people, that I am, you know, again, there'll be a Let's Play, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, because I'm going to be recording a couple in Japan. If there isn't, then it means that I literally can, you know, like, you get the point. They're like, oh yeah, I planned this all out. It's going to be hopefully a really fun time for me, but then also, hopefully, you know, most people won't even spot it. Most people don't even need to notice it, because some of the best, in fact, it might even be better over the next few weeks. You might wish this happened more, because some of the, I think the best videos we'd have uploaded in a while are going to be coming out over that time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one personally. By the way, next up we're doing this lineup just here. In case you're curious, we're making a pyramid, but not a perfect pyramid, like a slightly squared off pyramid. It doesn't make any sense till you see it, but it's going to be kind of fun. So yeah, basically my past right now is pretty intense, pretty filled with just like, okay, you know, like I've got to make sure every hour and every day is like pretty well planned, or it won't all go off according to plan. And you know, that's intense, that's hard. I think following a schedule is hard for anyone, right? You know, going back to the whole time thing, time is really, you know, it's the world's mistress. It's the one thing no one can get more of. You can manage it more efficiently if you try, but you can never get more of it. And therefore schedules, you know, they're hard to follow, but they allow you to get more out of each ounce of time that you do have. I guess it's kind of like a budget. Wait, a schedule is just a time budget. Whoa, man. But no, more seriously, you know, that is kind of true. You know, it sounds like a whoa, man kind of thing to say, but it is, you know, still true in my opinion. So we're going to make this out to 9 blocks, then this is out to 11 blocks, then this is out to 13 blocks, and this is out to 15 blocks. We're going for 15, 15 in the center, and then it'll go out to 30 in each direction, and it should give you this slightly round off appearance, which hopefully you're starting to see come into view now, maybe. If you're not seeing it, then I guess, well, there goes that idea. But it should look like a giant cross that we're going to turn into a giant pyramid. Again, a cross pyramid, if you will. Not like real pyramids, because real pyramids don't look like that, but like fake pyramids, because it's Minecraft. You can build whatever you want. That's the wonderful thing that I always try to encourage on this channel. I try not to be the guy who's like, oh no, you have to build good, or you might as well just not build at all. So many YouTube channels send that message to their subscribers sometimes. But yeah, I try to make sure, like, no, yeah, do a fun thing, have a good time with it, and you'll be great. So this is where that ends, and I think it should be where we build out to with this. So that's 9, 11, 13, 15. Yep, we got this right. Let's keep going. So let's talk a little bit more about what's in my future then, because I'm really excited about many different things in Japan. Like, oh yeah, I love Japanese food. Like, it's like on the internet, it's like a weird thing to like Japan, because there's so many like it usually has connotations like, oh yeah, you're going on some giant anime trip or some giant this or that, or like it doesn't really matter. But like basically, like I'm super hyped about all the things I've planned. I've even got like weird little like, oh yeah, so I really want to ride a bike around Kyoto, because like it's a city that was like quite heavily bombed and then rebuilt, and it means that they've rebuilt on a grid system, but it's a grid system with like one-way lanes. It means it's really, really nice to bike. Every single time I saw someone on a bike the last time I was there, I was like kind of jealous. And anyway, basically, I'm looking forward to what I'm doing, but also in terms of what's in my nearer future, because my medium-term future is looking really bright, and a kind of exchange for that is I'm a little bit scared of my short-term future. So, yeah, because today's episode is just all about time, because it kind of ties into what I've been up to. Basically, the reason I'm doing this morning, the reason I'm kind of like doing this as a warm-up for the future, is because later today, I'm going to be attempting Minecraft without any mining or crafting. I just kind of figured, like, you know, it'd be kind of a funny meme-style thing, like, wouldn't it be funny to try and beat Minecraft without mining or crafting? Get it? It's called Minecraft, but if we don't mine or craft, that'd be real funny. So, yeah, I honestly... Every single step is like a hard one in my head as to like, can you actually do it? We're gonna find out later today. It's unlike the no hunger challenge, which is basically, you know, requires the perfect spawn, perfect everything. We have a little bit more room for failure, so it might take all day later today, but we should hopefully do it. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun thing. I'm kind of looking forward to it and also dreading it at the same time. But I think sometimes one of the things that's you know, undervalued by people is if you're fearing something, sometimes that thing can still be really good. An example of this I always give is like roller coaster rides. They're really anxiety inducing in the moment, but after you're done with them, or even while you're in them, you can enjoy that adrenaline it gives you, you know? Like it used to, another example is like meeting people in Japan. I'm actually meeting a 4J employee I haven't seen in like years since the battle days, but meeting people like in like a one-on-one environment is really stressful for me. Like I'm not an outgoing person. Like I don't recharge from talking to people. I recharge from very much staying away from people. This is why I struggle being a YouTuber sometimes, because everyone wants a piece of you. Like, Toy Cat, why won't you add me as a friend? You're a terrible, you know, like, I'm gonna unsubscribe because you're just the worst. You clearly hate your fans. And it's like, no, I mean, like, that's not a thing that I could do all day without, you know, serious consequences to, you know, the video output or to, you know, my mental sanity. Like, it's a sort of thing where, like, you know, I'm not great at like just talking to people non-stop. The good friends that I have in the world are people I don't talk to every single day or like, you know, every hour for every single day, because that's not how I value a human relationship, you know. So anyway, the reason I mention that is just because one of the things I find crazy stressful is meeting someone for the first time. But if it's someone that you know that you probably will enjoy meeting, or even if you just think there's a chance you'll enjoy meeting them, like I've said this before, but like going out on dates is scary, but like it's also kind of enjoyable at the same time, because it's like a one-on-one. It's like a game, you almost like it's a one-on-one duel, a duel of the wits or something. I've always enjoyed that. I've always thought that's a fun time, a wacky time, a thing that I enjoy doing at least a little bit. And yeah, basically we need to refill our inventory. But basically, yeah, it's really, really bizarre to talk to someone for the first time. It's really bizarre to do a lot of things, but also it can be good to know that you're about to do something that you really want to do. There are a lot of things that suck in the moment, but are really good in the long term. And I think, you know how I mentioned at the very start, like, you know, time is a thing we invented and also that kind of controls us, even though we made it. That's a good example of like, oh yeah, there are lots of things that require lots of time to be spent badly in some cases, in exchange for time to be spent good later down the line, you know? You have to, you know, like, in some cases, you have to do things you don't want to be able to do things you do want to be able to do. Or I think a way I've heard that phrase is like, you gotta do things no one else, does, so that you can do things that no one else does. Like, if you think about it, like the more things you do that that no one else does now, the more things you can do that no one else does in some later time down the line. And that works both ways, right? You can burn your candle, burn all the time left in your life now. There are lots of things you can do which basically borrow happiness from the future. You know, that's what, to simplify drugs and alcohol, that's what a lot of them do, right? Like, oh yeah, you drink, you have a fun time now, then you have a thing tomorrow. And that's a fine decision to make if you're aware of the consequence. But then some people are just like, hey, wait a minute, I'm not feeling perfect now like I did yesterday. And yeah, I don't know where I'm kind of going with all of this. It almost got a little bit off topic and ranty there, but it is something that I find fascinating. The fact that time, we invent it, yet it still is the thing that keeps us all not hostage, but, you know, in a way, kind of hostage, right? It kind of does do that. So, yeah, we're now going to work on the pyramids side of this, so you can hopefully see how this comes together. I'm not sure what I want to do with these sides, if I want to make it out of glass or maybe have some quartz in there. I think an all-glass pyramid would be a bit gaudy, but, you know, maybe we should just do it. You know, we've got plenty of glass, you know, let's just make an all-glass pyramid, because why not? We can always, later down the line, throw, like, a little bit of quartz in if we need to. But I'm sure just all glass for now. It's fitting the end theme of going way over the top. Because, again, this is an example. This is one of those big projects in Minecraft that is, like, huge on every level. It took me weeks to get all the... In fact, yeah, weeks to get all the sand. It took me, like, days to smelt it all, and now, like, it's taking months to place it all across the end. But there's something kind of fun about working towards an end goal like that. I know, I like it. Maybe this is, like, a valuable lesson. Maybe it's not. But in that case, I wanted to talk a little bit more about not only just the challenge that I'm doing at present, which maybe you find interesting, but also about... and also the challenge that will hopefully be done by the time this is out. But also talk a little bit about, at least a little bit, about what I've been up to in the past week. You know, what's been going on in my past that I have enjoyed. Because I think you should never get to the stage where you just hate everything in life. You know, like, it's good to, like, make small sacrifices. But if you make big sacrifices, then you sacrifice your mental sanity, which sacrifices your ability to make sacrifices in a way. I think that makes some sense, right? So, yeah, one of the things that I've been... one of the things I've been doing a lot in this last week is I bought an electric scooter. I mentioned that, I think, in last week's episode, but I was so busy making the green screen, we didn't really dive into it. So I have bought an electrically powered scooter. So basically, I'm saving the environment. You're welcome, guys. Next time you breathe a breath of fresh air, that's all me that did that. So, yeah, anyway, the reason I mention this is because for the most part, well, one, it's basically illegal here, so, like, every time I go past police, it's a bit like, you know, in theory, they could stop me, and they would probably be just about right to, but so far it hasn't happened. Although, but once I passed police, and I don't think there were any people in the car, and the second time, I think they were chasing someone, like their sirens were on. So we haven't had a proper police opportunity encounter yet, but, you know, maybe one day we can hope, we can pray, we can believe in ourselves, and maybe, just maybe, that'll happen. But yeah, no, anyway, the reason I mention it is because I've been really just having fun, just, I guess, freedom, exploring, like, getting to see a bit more of where I'm at. And the reason that I think it's so interesting to just, like, explore is because there's so many things really close around you that you just don't see because it's not, you know, day-to-day useful as part of a routine. And I think that's often where like a lot of the the beauty can be, like and that's such a cliched thing to say, but I think, for instance, like, oh yeah, going into nature every now and then, it really can do something magical for your brain. I didn't used to believe this. I used to think it was just what people said because they wanted something exclusive and useless. But something about having nature near you, or going through a park, or seeing some beautiful nature somewhere, like hopefully we'll see in Japan. Hey, bringing it right back to the thing I said I wouldn't talk about. But no, but going like through something like that and seeing something for the first time, that it does something to your brain. Like it activates some brain waves, some idea parts of your brain. And if you like having ideas, if you like I don't know, thinking, which personally I like thinking, one of my top 10 activities, I would say, then it's really kind of fun to do that, like going through a park, or going through some more greenery place you haven't been to before. And again, I don't know why it's so interesting, because in theory it should be super boring. Like, oh yeah, you see it once, then you're kind of done. But yeah, just like roaming around on this weird electric scooter, one, it's a fun toy. Two, it has like electric, so it's like a fun thing. It's like I kind of like the idea of like being on the edge of like this is new stuff kind of being discovered as we go along. And I don't know why that is. It's something interesting I realized about myself. If you don't know, I also have a smart bin recently. It's so ridiculous. No one needs a smart bin. It's not a good investment. It's not a good really anything. But it's something I have, and it's something I really enjoy having. But so I realized something about myself recently, and that's that I just enjoy smart technology, apparently. Why do I enjoy smart technology? I'm not quite entirely sure, but it seems to be something that I definitely do. Also, I think we made a mistake here. Let's confirm. So this is 1, 2, 3. Oh, I think I didn't realize that this is free. No, this is... Okay, we made a mistake somewhere. I need to now root it out. I don't know where, though, because this is having, like, an uneven gap. I guess we probably just are missing a block on this side. Yeah, that's all it was. Okay, so amateur mistake with Toy Cat. We were just missing a block. Because we want to have an entrance that's either 3 blocks wide or 1 block wide. So this is as wide as we'll make the staircase for now, or the side of the pyramid, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's going to be kind of fun like that. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to skip forward just a little bit after we place some more of these, and I'll get back to you then. So now that we've placed a lot more glass, you should get an idea of what the project's roughly going to look like. Again, it's lots of pyramids angling into the same place. That makes one big pyramid when we eventually finish that, but that in the meantime looks a little bit kind of arrowy pointy, but that's what we're going for. A little bit of a different shape, because this is a little bit of a different build. Most people don't build giant glass palaces or giant glass pyramids, so that's half the fun here. But yeah, I wanted to talk at least just a little bit about the scooting thing, because there is something really fun about like the idea of just like freedom, the ability to go anywhere. That is really, I don't know, I've just been enjoying it recently, and I think there's something extra a little bit fun about the idea that, like, this is like the tiniest bit of legal, because I've been thinking about it, right? So if I am ever caught in a police chase, this is not going to be used as evidence. This is like a fun suggestion, definitely not something I ever want to do. But I was thinking about, like, when you have a small device, like either a bike or like, I don't know, like probably like a moped or something like that, it's really easy for you to escape the police. At least, in the UK, they don't have guns where they're going to shoot me because I'm evading like the most minor of traffic violations. I don't know how it is in your country, definitely check your local regulations. But I feel like if a police officer ever does want to stop you, their ability is what? They have, like a car. That car can't go down like small side streets, etc. Okay, you're safe from cars then. So what else can they use to get you? Like, okay, they can track your license plate. Aha, no license plate. So, haha, they can, they can track this or that. And the answer is like, no, actually. So I've been considering a little bit, like, it's probably a weird fantasy. You really shouldn't do this. I really will not do this intentionally. If I ever am caught in a police chase, it's because I did it unintentionally. This is my legal defense. But no, I think it would be, I know I've been thinking about a lot about, like, it would be the most ridiculous thing, but you could totally escape the police on this. And there's something about that I've been enjoying as like just a concept. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoy being on like the forefront of technology, because one of the things I love is, so this video is about time, right? I like the past in that I don't think you should ever like the past, almost. Like, I think a lot of people struggle with their past, with the past, but just past as a whole. Like, the concept of past is always something you can struggle with, but the cool thing about the future is the future can be whatever you want it to be. Whereas the past is fixed in stone, and, for a lot of people, it's, kind of bad because you have to deal with so many different, things. But like, you know, the future is something, at least right now, your current future can be anything you want it to be. And by that, I don't mean like, oh yeah, you could be an astronaut if you want to. You know, for some number of people, you could never be an astronaut. I mean, how many astronauts are they hiring? Like, unless you're willing to go to Mars for like 10 months and probably die, you know, like astronaut probably isn't in your future. That's fair. Unless you want it to be, it still potentially is. But I'm not saying, oh yeah, you can be an astronaut, because probably you're not going to be an astronaut. But I mean, like, you can believe your future is whatever you want it to believe, whatever you want to believe it is. And I think that's really the power of like both belief, but also of time itself. It is you know, like, it's a fixed thing. You know, like the time is too. You know, the way I like to visualize myself is like there's three toy cats all interacting at the same time. There's current me, there's past me, and there's future me. And my job is to make it so that future me has the best thing possible. Because at some point, future me is going to become current me, and we're going to have this. You know, the same three people are always going to move forward slowly. So the forwards direction is always the one that needs to matter the most. Like, it's always important to deal with your past. It's always important to deal with anything that's in there or whatever. But the cool thing about the future is it can be what you want to believe it is. And when you get stuck in the idea that like, oh no, well my past sucked and therefore my future has to suck, that's when you get trapped in like some dangerous thought bubbles. And that's something I try my very best not to do on a regular basis. Like, you know, I had a bad time once, I'm gonna have a bad time every time since. It's like a fallacy, right? It's a thing your brain tells you where you're like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense because it follows XYZ logic that we evolved when we were chasing chickens. Or I guess chickens were probably never in the wild, but when we were chasing, I don't know, wild boars around, like, you can't trick me, brain, because there's a lot of weird things that, you know, just you intuitively believe that are incorrect, and a lot of those are to do with time, because everyone misunderstands time. You know, the biggest easy examples of this are the fact that, you know, if you ask people, like, if you gave people no clocks and said, okay, meet back here in 1,000 minutes, and I'll give you, I don't know, $1,000. No one would get there in exactly 1,000 minutes. You might get people who get lucky and get there in a somewhat close to time, but time isn't something you can conceptualize internally. It's something that, you know, it's one of the very few human concepts which you literally just, you need a tool to do, right? It's not like, oh yeah, it's like, you know, maths where you need a calculator. I mean, for big maths, you need a calculator to do it easier, but you can work out any maths equation in your head with enough time. But with time itself, unless you're literally dedicating 100% of your brain at all times to it, you can't keep track of time. It is something, even Einstein, you know, like, so a lot of people say Einstein's like the smartest man alive. I don't really agree with that, because I mean, like, you know, lot of different fun things, but basically, you know, like, he's a very smart person, right? Very smart scientist, made a lot of smart things, and when you say like, oh, someone's an Einstein, you mean to say they're a very smart person, because he was a very, very smart person. Fun fact, there you go, now you know. But yeah, basic fun fact, he was German. I think that's obvious to most people, but I discovered that, like, when I was in Germany at one point, and I was like, oh yeah, Einstein, and like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, it means, like, you know, A and then Stein, which is a very Jewish name. He was a German Jew, and that's part of the reason why he was not on the side of the Nazis, and maybe part of the reasons the Nazis didn't win. So anyway, we're going a little bit on a tangent here. But yeah, no, basically, I just wanted to say that, like, the thing about you know, like, being smart, the thing about your brain is that there's a lot of things that you can do internally with it, but one of those things is not time. You cannot manage time inside of your brain, and because of that, I think that's why it's important to properly, once you realize you don't understand something, you have a lot better time working around it, working with it, working, etc, 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 and that's something powerful, at least to me, that maybe you think is powerful too, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, you know, that's stupid, so I'm gonna go back to doing XYZ, and that's an entirely fine opinion to hold too. So yeah, from this point onwards, by the way, it becomes like a real pyramid. So it's like a pyramid stacked on top of these weird staircases that should, again, my dream is that it makes some cool combination effect. I think like 80% of the builds we make don't go that way. But again, that's another fun thing that, like, I really, in this Let's Play, this is literally, the reason I make this Let's Play is because I want to show you some fun time playing Minecraft each week. It's kind of evolved over time to also, like, because there's some big things I want to talk about. Like, my brain, like I said, I really like thinking. It's one of my favorite things to do. Sometimes I think and I get, like, trapped down a rabbit hole, and then I want to share some of those thoughts because I'm, I guess, vain and arrogant like that. But, you know, like, one of the things that I love about Let's Play is, like, sharing some Minecraft and what's happening in my past week. The past there, but it's your future and your present. But, no, part of that is, like, sometimes you can, like, mislead people by only ever being like, oh, and then this thing turned out to be the most amazing thing. But I think what's always important is to remind you also the one, like, failure is, fine. Like, people fail on a regular basis. If this does turn out awful, then it turns out awful. I'm hoping that it doesn't. But, yeah, it's a reminder of, like, everything isn't perfect all the time. But, that doesn't mean it can't be perfect in the future. Or something like that. You can always improve things, you always welcome things. And actually, that's part of why, in case you're curious, so I said a long time ago, the Let's Play world will be going up for download. The reason I didn't put it out immediately is because there was a few things I wanted to fix. I wanted to make things better. It's not going to be perfect when it goes out, but I want to at least improve things. There's something really nice about improving things, at least to me. Like, it's really hard to do. It's really hard to admit that you didn't do something perfectly. It's really hard to admit that, yeah, like, something's not as good as it could have been. But there is something really satisfying about trying to get there by improving your existing stuff. And the problem, okay, I have this issue where, with schools, where everything that you learn in schools, because it's forced on you, you're going to inherently hate. I think a lot of people, the majority of the population, right, does not like things being forced on them, because that's like, it's just not a thing that people enjoy. Call them crazy if you like to, but most people don't like having things forced on them. Call that crazy. We'll talk about that tomorrow for Plastic Straw podcast time, but because of that interesting, kind of aspect of things, like learning to do really important skills in school is almost that's a good way to guarantee people won't do them. And one example of that was like the draft system. Whenever we did any form of like cooking or anything like that, we had to write up an evaluation. We had to write what we'd improve next time. And basically I realized that, oh, this is just doing needless extra work. So I'd write the most needlessly fast evaluation of like, I'd make up the easiest lie about what I could have improved. Sometimes, here's the craziest bit. So because they required these evaluations, you couldn't leave the class, you couldn't finish it till you did them. I would just deliberately make mistakes in the main thing so that I could correct them and be like, I made a mistake here. I don't intend to make it in the future. Checkmate, evaluation finished right there. Whereas a lot of people who did really well, they'd have to be like, it went really well. What am I going to evaluate? And they're like, nothing ever goes perfectly. The teachers are there sour about how their lives have gone downhill, and therefore your science experiment could have gone, perfectly. Something must have needed improving. That teaches you both not be confident about your own work, because your work sucks somewhere. You just got to find it out. And two, it teaches you that evaluating sucks. But I think, yeah, one of the things that is fun is improving things. One of the things I've really enjoyed about YouTube over these years is, even though it's had its ups and downs, which are terrifying, this is my main primary source of income, it's scary how, like, the wild swings of YouTube just go up, down. That's one of the things I like about people who hit the join button down below. They make that stabilize out a little bit. But the thing that I find to be, most... one of the things that I've enjoyed that I wouldn't have expected is how YouTube is a constantly changing game. People ask for advice about how I got big on YouTube. The truth is, that was relevant years ago. It doesn't work today, It'd be as useful as, like, an old person saying, if you want a house, just pay $4,000 and you'll get yourself a mansion over here. And it's like, well, houses just don't cost that anymore, right? That's not advice. That's just how you did it. And, so one of the things is, like, YouTube is always changing. And you'll even see this in, like, the view counts or the sub counts or whatever. And yeah, basically, one of the things I also wanted to say is we're very, very, very close to 1 million subscribers right now. I think as this video goes live, we'll be at like 999k or something like that. And that is something that I would have never expected. No amount of time would have ever made me realize we'd get 1 million. Because here's the deal about my YouTube, right? I wanted to tell you a little bit of a story, because it kind of relates to time, kind of relates to everything else. So basically, when I started YouTube, my dream goal, my lofty thing was like 1,000 subscribers would be cool, because at least there's someone out there, who cares about, these videos and what I have to say. That'd be crazy if anyone would watch these, because, on YouTube, expecting anyone to find you, anyone to watch you, it's really quite a big ask. Like, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of, you give me a lot of your time, which is something I really do appreciate, I really do value. And so to get to 1,000 was absurd. And then, like, eventually it's like, oh yeah, so now we've hit 1,000, it's kind of cool sailing from here. We've done amazingly. My job was just to satisfy those 1,000 subscribers. And over time, that turned into, like, more and more. And then once 100,000 happened, it was like, wow, this is the peak. 1 million's never gonna happen. At the time, there was only, like, 13 channels on YouTube with 1 million subscribers. Or like when I first started, there was. I think by the time I hit 100,000, it was probably like in the hundreds. But like at the time, it was like this super rare, super lofty goal that very few people were ever going to hit. And so yeah, when you see that, it's like, man, that's a far off kind of thing. And then eventually it got a little bit closer. I was like, maybe one day this could happen. And then there was the like great stagnation towards the end of Minecraft console, where they replaced it with Bedrock, and like the entire channel just like went through a weird nosedive. And it was like, okay, yeah, no, it's fine. We've slowed down. We won't hit 1 million, but like, you know, like maybe in the far future, like maybe we can get to like 900,000. But here it is. It's happening in 2019, less than 10 years after starting the channel, which is, to me, it's mind-blowing. But like 1 million subscribers, I don't know how to say nice things about it. And I don't think there's going to be any particularly amazing special. I'm not going to do that thing where I watch the countdown till it turns 1 million. Actually, you know, maybe I should do that thing where I watch the countdown until it turns 1 million and be like, hey, it's 1 million and freak out, whatever. I don't know for sure. Honestly, I'm just happy that it's happening. I think the real special comes when the gold play button comes. But yeah, I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to say, just because there's not a thank you video, it does not mean I'm not thankful. A lot of people take the lack of an explicit thank you in any given moment to mean someone's not grateful, and that's not, in my opinion, how things work. So I just wanted to say right now, thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed ever, once, twice, whenever. It's weird that I'm hitting 1 million subscribers while I'm in Japan. That's a weird kind of consequence of this all. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you for watching the channel. And to everyone who's subscribed right now, to everyone who's ever watched a video, liked a video, done anything that's helped the channel in the slightest, I'm really appreciative of that. And I just wanted to say it at the end of the Let's Play here. Thank you very much for watching today and forever. And I guess I'll see you all next time. This is a really weird last pyramid, but goodbye.